It was Mother's Day, May 10th, 2020. The quiet mountain air of Maysville, Colorado carried only the whispers of pine trees and the distant hum of life beginning a new day. But somewhere in that stillness, a story of love, betrayal, and mystery was about to unfold. Suzanne Morphew, a mother of two, a beloved wife, and a woman known for her radiant smile, disappeared without a trace. Her bike was found by the roadside, but she was gone, as if the earth itself had swallowed her whole. To the world, it looked like an accident, maybe a mountain lion attack, maybe a tragic fall. But deep beneath the calm of that town, something darker was brewing. Her husband, Barry Morphew, pleaded for her safe return, offering a $200,000 reward. Yet the cracks in his story began to show. What kind of husband throws money into a camera but tears don't fall from his eyes? The world began to wonder. Was this man praying for his wife's return or praying no one would find what he'd buried? And so began one of America's most haunting mysteries, a story that twisted through grief, lies, and a desperate search for truth. But the truth? It always finds its way back to the surface, no matter how deep it's buried. Suzanne's daughters were away on a camping trip that weekend, leaving her home alone. It was supposed to be a peaceful Mother's Day, a day of rest, reflection, love. But when her daughters couldn't reach her by text, they grew uneasy. Calls went unanswered. Hours passed. By evening, panic took over. Friends reported her missing, and by nightfall, the search was on. The Colorado sun had set behind the mountains, and the forest swallowed her silence. When police found her bike lying off a dirt road, the scene felt staged, too clean, too deliberate. There were no skid marks, no struggle, no sign of wildlife. Just a bike, perfectly placed, and a missing woman. Barry Morphew was the first to arrive. He looked concerned. But investigators noticed something else. His clothes smelled freshly washed. His hands had cuts, and his story kept changing. As drones searched the mountains and divers combed nearby rivers, one question echoed louder than the wind. Did Suzanne leave on her own? Or was she silenced by someone she once loved? Barry told investigators he had been away for work in Broomfield, a 3-hour drive from home, pouring concrete for a landscaping project. But when detectives checked, they discovered something strange. There was no work scheduled that day. Even stranger, Barry had been seen making multiple trash runs in different towns along the way, disposing of unknown bags. Inside the family home, the scent of bleach hung thick in the air. A door latch was broken, a bed looked hastily changed, and in Suzanne's bathroom, her phone, the same one she never left behind, was gone. But her last digital footprints painted a heartbreaking story. Texts to a friend saying she was done with her marriage. She had planned to confront Barry and leave him. The search was no longer for a missing woman. It had become a hunt for a truth wrapped in deception. Every new clue whispered one thing: Suzanne never made it out of that house alive. Behind the perfect photos and smiling posts, Suzanne's world was crumbling. Her marriage was a battlefield of control and fear. Barry, once the charming high school sweetheart, had become possessive, jealous, and unpredictable. Suzanne's friends later revealed she'd reconnected with an old friend from high school, a man who listened, who cared, who made her feel alive again. Her digital diary showed a woman torn between fear and freedom. "He won't let me go," one note read. "He's watching me." Police later discovered that Barry had used his truck's GPS and her phone's location data to track her every move. And the night before she vanished, Suzanne's phone pinged its final signal, then went dark forever. In those moments before silence, Suzanne's last messages were filled with both hope and heartbreak. She wanted to start over, but her freedom came at a deadly cost. By August 2020, investigators had built a timeline that told a chilling story. Barry's phone data showed erratic movement around the house on the night Suzanne disappeared. He claimed to be chasing a chipmunk, but his GPS placed him near a riverbed for nearly 45 minutes. The next morning, his truck left home before dawn, making unexplained stops in random towns. Forensic teams discovered that Barry's tranquilizer gun had recently been used, and that one of Suzanne's sheets carried a trace of animal sedative. It wasn't a mountain lion that took Suzanne. It was a hunter who couldn't let his prey go. Yet without a body, prosecutors couldn't lock him away. Barry was charged with murder in 2021, but the case soon collapsed. Evidence was circumstantial. The body was missing, and so he walked free, while Suzanne remained lost. When Barry Morphew was released in 2022, it felt like justice had died. The man suspected of killing his wife returned to the same town where her memory still lingered in the air. Cameras caught him smiling, walking beside his daughters, living as if nothing had happened. But for Suzanne's family, there was no peace. Her brother Andrew continued the fight, launching new searches, organizing vigils, demanding the truth. Volunteers scoured rivers, mines, and forests, chasing whispers and rumors. Every year on Mother's Day, people lit candles, promising her spirit that they would not stop until she was found. And somewhere out there, in the shadow of the Rockies, the earth still hid her secret. The question was no longer if she was gone, but where she had been taken. September 2023. A construction crew in Moffat County unearthed what they thought were animal bones. But forensic testing told another story: human remains. And weeks later, DNA confirmed the impossible. It was Suzanne Morphew. Her body was discovered over 160 miles from her home, in a shallow grave covered with lime and debris. Investigators knew immediately she hadn't been buried there originally. She had been moved, hidden, forgotten, but not forever. When the news broke, the nation held its breath. After 3 years of silence, Suzanne had finally spoken, not with words, but with truth. The case was back, and this time justice was coming with fury. The autopsy revealed what investigators had long suspected: blunt, forced trauma and signs of restraint. Her remains bore the silent marks of a struggle that must have been fierce, desperate, and heartbreaking. She fought until the end. The site offered another shocking clue: traces of lime and chlorine, chemicals found in Barry's construction supplies. The same truck that had pinged near her final resting place years ago was now undeniable evidence. For investigators, this wasn't just a discovery, it was resurrection. Suzanne's truth, buried deep in the mountains, had finally risen. And for Barry Morphew, the walls were closing in once more. With her remains found, detectives rebuilt the case from scratch. Every note, every GPS signal, every phone call, all of it came together like a puzzle that had waited 5 years to be solved. The FBI cross-referenced soil samples, truck data, and old witness statements. The picture was now complete. Meanwhile, the world demanded justice. Social media erupted with justice for Suzanne. True crime journalists dissected every second, every tear, every lie Barry had told. The nation was no longer just watching, it was judging. Barry kept silent, but his silence screamed guilt. And behind those cold eyes, the fear of truth was finally visible. April 2025. The world woke up to breaking news. Barry Morphew had been indicted again for the murder of Suzanne. This time the evidence was stronger. This time there would be no escape. Inside the courthouse, Barry appeared older, his confidence replaced by the weight of consequence. The prosecutor's words echoed through the room. Justice delayed is not justice denied. Each charge, each word felt like a piece of Suzanne's voice, reclaiming what was stolen from her. Outside, hundreds gathered with candles and signs, their chants rising with the mountain wind. 5 years too late, but justice had finally found its way home. The trial began under the eyes of a restless nation. Evidence flashed on the screen, photos, messages, maps, all telling one truth. Suzanne's life had been stolen, her love betrayed, her silence forced. But now her voice echoed louder than ever. Barry's lawyers fought back, claiming conspiracy, error, bias. But no argument could erase the pain in her daughter's eyes, or the strength in her brother's silence. The courtroom wasn't just about guilt or innocence anymore. It was about truth, buried under years of lies. And when the final hearing adjourned, the mountains of Colorado stood tall and quiet once again. Maybe justice wasn't perfect. Maybe the truth came late. But in that silence, Suzanne's name finally found peace. Suzanne Morphew's story is not just about loss. It's about light breaking through the darkest corners of love. A reminder that truth can sleep, but it never dies. So tell me, do you think justice was truly served? Or is there still more buried beneath the mountain silence? Comment your thoughts below. If you believe in stories that must be told, subscribe, like, and share. Because next week, we uncover another mystery where the truth is stranger than fiction. Until then, stay curious, stay safe, and never stop searching for the truth.